Good morning to everybody, and welcome to this event dedicated to a Unicity on Advanced Material Implementation Plan. So let's start giving a short presentation about the day. So I will start from myself. My name is Marco Falsetti. I am the director of APRE, and APRE in this moment is coordinating the network of European national contact points dedicated to industry, so the so-called project EU for Industry. And that is the reason why this event is organized by the APRE and the other partner of this network. But I'm here to moderate this day also for another reason. I'm still the chairman of the EUMET, the European Technology Platform on Advanced Material. And as you will see during the discussion today, EUMET is one of the four groups that together started at the beginning of an adventure that I will tell you later for the creation of a new initiative dedicated to material, the AMI 2030, together with EUMET. There was other partners, traditionally part of the Alliance for Material System. There was EMRI, the Manufuture, and the SASCEM, so other platforms, European Technology Platform. And later, there was another important element that joined the groups of the initiative AMI 2030, that was the graphene flagship that is part of the original initiative from Commission, and you know it was dedicated mainly to two-dimensional materials, in particular at the beginning just for graphene, and evolving during the time to the more general attention to two-dimensional materials. Well, from my side, I have very few to say, just to stress a couple of points. What we are going to discuss today is mainly on what's going on the European material landscape, research landscape, and in particular what happened starting from 2021, when following one of the Euro-Nano Forum at that time, we were under the COVID situation, was a remote, at the time, remote event. There was a sort of initiative that was called a manifesto, a material manifesto, that was signed as part of the follow-up of this edition of Euro-Nano Forum in 2021. And starting from there was an evolution of things that brought to the new initiative AMI 2030. But on top of that, there was a lot of increasing attention from the European Commission due to the relevance that material science and technology play on top of a lot of other relevant strategic priority for European Union. So what happened from the 2021 was a parallel, a positive evolution of a new renewed attention from European Commission on material research and innovation, and a particular interest from a community that was ready to support this evolution together. So in very short, in 2-3 times from now, from 2021, we approach a new proposal that has take the shape during the transition from 2003 and 2004 to definition of a new partnerships as part of a general commission discussion on new partnerships. And new partnerships on advanced materials was introduced as a co-program of partnerships, and the AMI 2030 was really is really the machine behind this system that should bring the partnerships from just an idea to a future deployment. Now, Just a couple of points. When I say that there was a particular interest from Commission during these last 3 or 4 years on the material science and technologies, and the reason is connected to what is going around us about the not the material scenario, but overall scenario. When you approach concepts like competitiveness, like strategic autonomy, like strategic technology for European platforms, when you look to the radical change envisaging in the Draghi report, or at least in the first news that we got from the draft report from Draghi, Mr. Draghi, well, you will see that there is a particular attention to step forward in a lot of important challenging for Europe that require an incredible efforts in terms of development, in terms of growth, in terms of maintaining competitiveness in many different industrial technological areas. And part of this is clearly connected with the material side. So what is relevant for us as a material community is that today has become, let's say, more evident for politicians that material is really a key enabling technologies, as it was defined since many years, but today is a crucial point to guarantee, to satisfy all the needs that we can imagine from now to the future, and that are related to the transition, the challenging in transitions, both on the green transition, digital transition, but also on maintaining the competitiveness of our system and an autonomy, strategic autonomy, in terms of many different areas. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to give you just a brief view of what is the program of today. Let's say this is a sort of a presentation and discussion. So first of all, I invite you to be part of an active discussion during this time today. And following the presentation, please, or even during the presentation, don't hesitate to address questions. And due to the fact that this is an even streamed, we are going to use Slido, and you will see time to times the code for the Slido section is advanced material. And please do not hesitate not only to address questions, but address comments. This is a way to try to interact with you in this form of events. So to set the scene, we have 2 main speakers today. The first is Jürgen Tiedl, has had a unit in the European Commission in the Directorate Prosperity, and is in charge for the, among other, for the dossier on material. And after Jürgen, we will have Professor Rodrigo Martins, and Rodrigo is a very well-known material person within our European and international community, and he will introduce himself among the many different roles that has played in the material science and technology community. And while Jürgen will see the scene about one pillar of all discussion that we're going today, that is the communication that the Commission in February did on advanced material, Rodrigo will say many things, but in particular will stress on the problem of skills and education. There is a crucial part also for the material science in terms of creating the condition for aiding in the future very qualified actors in terms of scientists, researchers that will be useful, where there will be need for the industrial community, for the research community, for the innovator communities. So I will start now from Jürgen. Jürgen, please. Thanks again, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Marco, and a good morning to everybody where you are. Should you see sometimes some rays from sunshine in my face, I'm actually very happy. It's raining a lot in Brussels currently. So the purpose of my presentation, and I'm happy that there is a helping hand in the background to turn my slides, is to present to you a policy communication on advanced materials for industry leadership. Is this getting a big political priority now? You may judge, but last Thursday, research ministers discussed 2 hours only advanced materials. To give you a flavor, it's really getting to the top level. The purpose of my presentation is to scope the initiative, to give you very much hints already where we are going, and to give you a feeling and a thrust of the communication we are planning, because it will have repercussions to what Marco was saying. How will the topics in the work program 2025 might look like? So it will be a new partnership. There are many other things coming as well. So we are starting with this communication from end of February, a journey. This first point I would like to make is advanced materials. So what do we cover? And we're very much using what the OECD has given us as a definition. I will not go through all these bullets and sub-bullet points, but let me give you 2 key features. The first one is we are not in the world of raw materials or critical raw materials. We are in the world of designing advanced materials. We are also in the world of engineering materials. So we will not limit ourselves and our policy steps to what's happening in a laboratory. We need to make sure what is leaving a laboratory is also manufactured and is later on taken up by the industry. So we will focus on available advanced materials and future advanced materials. We have a strong research agenda, but in our communication, we're also focusing up on the industrial uptake. Industry and researchers signal to us these are big priorities and they should go much more together. If we can go to the next slide. Thank you. Well, I'm preaching now to those who are convinced, but we've shown this to the public, and to be a bit more clearer on what is meant by advanced materials, I emphasize we're not focusing on raw materials. I'm giving you a few examples. We are speaking here about nanoparticles, so nanotechnologies are part of the discussion. We have microcapsules absorbing and reflecting light in future, walls in construction. We will look at batteries. We will look at what is the beyond silicon agenda for chips, which is a very ambitious subject. We are also looking at nanocrystals. We are looking also on bio-based materials, where many people feel, have we excluded bio-based materials? No, they are part of the agenda. And we're giving you also other examples, composite materials. Why do I show to you these examples? Advanced materials is for us, as I said, not raw materials, but it's a very comprehensive approach. It is lightweight materials, composite materials, nanomaterials, nanotechnologies, graphene. So it is advanced materials at large. If we can go to the next slide. What's the big issue? And then sometimes it's important not to come with a very detailed assessment and with flashes and flowcharts. If we should put it somewhere straight, also for a politician, the big issue is we will face a much higher demand for advanced materials in Europe in the future. That's the key message I hope you can take away from my presentation. Why? Well, if you start with the Green Deal, we have not only to decarbonize our economy, we have now to build the Green Deal. Think about what is needed for hydrogen storage. We will face a strategic dependency, so we can no longer look and rely on global value chains. I've not to quote you the CHIPS Act or other things. So we will have an increasing demand for advanced materials in Europe. So we need to build a stronger European agenda in this regard. You have plenty of other, look at the world of electronics, look at the world of even health and an aging population we'll face in Europe, where, for instance, medical devices, new medical devices will play a much bigger role. So the big issue we would like to tackle here, really in less than 10 words, is the increasing demand for advanced materials in Europe. And that's why we are starting this journey with a policy communication launched end of February. If we can go to the next slide. If you speak about advanced materials as enabler of many things, we can no longer put aside where do we stand also in terms of patents and private investments. Technologies is currently much more a world of thinking about a global race. Who's number one? Who can lead? Who can rely on what you have in your jurisdictions? And one point is also to think about private investments. So we have done a study which was published on our website. I will publish a link to the website at the end of my presentation. And what you see here from this study are two things. In terms of private investments into research on advanced materials, US is leading. And there actually is a private investment which goes into advanced materials is more than double what is happening in the EU. We have a patent trend, in particular a corporate patent trend, which remains stable. You can also say it is actually stagnating. So on the one hand, you hear a lot about we are leading in the academic research on advanced materials, but we are not leading in terms of private investments on corporate patents. And that's the issue we need to look into, because other jurisdictions in the world, like China and the US, are better. So we are losing maybe the competitive edge we are having currently in academic research. We need to turn things around before it's getting bad. If we can go to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, a strategy is always a big word. Maybe we should better say we start now a journey, and the title of the session is about an implementation plan. The communication has been launched end of February. It had had a very first discussion with ministers last Thursday. The communication is relying on 5 pillars and 14 actions. And I will take you through, and hopefully not in a rush hour, but each of the actions will matter. And I will also give you a sense of prioritization where we start with one particular example. Pillar 1, we need to use research innovation as a launch pad for the twin transition, for global positioning of the EU when it comes to strategic autonomy, when it comes to our resilience of our economy. And if you listen to the industry, if you listen that there is a major competitiveness agenda coming and requested from the member states, what is the role of advanced materials and its research innovation? It can be really a launch pad, and that we have to do. A pillar 2, which focuses on fast track from laboratory to the fabrication. I mentioned it already. A pillar 3, increasing capital investment and access to financing. So if you envisage a partnership, is the industry also willing to inject private capital into such a partnership? We would like to have also, and this will be more at the level of studies, to get a better idea of the production and use of advanced materials, where it's needed. We need to move beyond this idea. Materials are everywhere, but we need to be clear, where are they now and where are the concrete needs? And that will be a key point for me in my presentation. And it would be good also for National Compacts maybe to take this message home, what we need to do next. If I can go to the next slide. Thank you. Pillar 1. What do we want to do? This is here not an agenda by which we now define priorities for funding under Horizon Europe. And people come in with ideas for a topic. We would like to agree with member states' common objectives and priorities, which should affect Horizon Europe, which should also affect national research programs. It does not mean that member states should have a proper research program on advanced materials, but it means that they also reflecting priorities which we have agreed. This is a minimum list, so we would like to agree with member states to do such exercise of agreeing objectives and priorities in energy, renewable energy, mobility, which is covering the whole world from vehicles, waterborne transport to aeronautics, construction, and electronics. And we highlighted a list of objectives and priorities in the communication. These 4 areas should be a starting point, and our understanding from the discussions with Council of Ministers last Thursday, this will be the 4 areas to start with. There are requests also to discuss other objectives and priorities, such as in particular health and agriculture. That should come in 2025. We think with these 4 areas, and actually to understand what is needed is already a big endeavor. We will also launch a study with the Joint Research Center on the substitution of critical raw materials with advanced materials. That will be a link with the Critical Raw Materials Act. The Critical Raw Materials Act, some of you may have seen it, entered into force last week, and it has a proper governance which started working also last week. If we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So let me start diving a little bit more into this action we envisage, because we will land in a kind of mapping exercise as a first step. So the starting point is not, do I want to invest into nanotechnologies for energy harvesting in a smartphone? No, the starting point is, what are the needs? What you see here is a text which appears in the communication. So you see here energy, mobility, construction, electronics. We are entirely needs. What do we need in Europe? There is a demand for advanced materials, an increasing demand. What are the needs? So what needs should future research priorities actually follow? And under A, B, C, D, under the points 1, 2, and 3, you see needs we have formulated. We have shown this to the member states in 3 workshops. So we will hope that they will be broadly aligned in this regard, because this is to be done, a discussion with member states. Where are the needs we are having? And now let me turn to the next slide. Okay, what we have done, and this is with the help of our colleagues in the health and digital executive agencies, we start doing a mapping. So you see here projects on the right side, which are actually funded under Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. And we started grouping them according to the needs, and this you find on the left side. So this is a kind of mapping and also a gap analysis. What is going on? What are the needs? And we would like to do this also with others, so that we know where we should dig deeper, where are gaps. And this should be happening at European level, and should also happening at national level. I will present this slide also in a future workshop organized by HADEA on the 6th of June. Some of you may have registered for it, and that is a workshop focusing on lightweight materials. So it gives you a flavor that what is there, where are the gaps, and where do we want to go in the future. It's just an example of how we would like to work in future. If I can go to the next slide. Thank you. Now I'm going to pillar 2. So the first pillar was mainly about cooperating with member states on research needs. The next one is, and this is heading under the materials commons, and there will be a topic under the work program 2025. And this is causing a lot of discussion with the member states currently, but we would like to build a European digital infrastructure. Would like to have that member states investing in decentralized databases, filling them with metadata, enabling to accelerate the research into new advanced materials. We have two initiatives. One is in France, Diadem, and the other one is in Material Digital in Germany. This is something where the discussions will start under the work program 2025. The second point is we have open innovation test beds. We have funded more than 300 million euros in the last years. 28 exist. More could be undertaken here. What's the purpose here if we speak about from to lab to fab? How can we make sure that also innovative SMEs come with their innovations, get the guidance they need in a test bed, how to take it further, and also whether it's successful when leaving the laboratory and going to manufacturing. That's the purpose. So a single entry catalog should be set up by 2025 so that people can have an idea where to find a skilled test bed for certain research activities for looking into the uptake. If we go to the next slide, please. Here the public-private partnership appears, and Marco Falsetti already in his introductory remarks mentioned it. What we want to do, and there we have deep discussions currently with the private side, and this is both the Advanced Materials Initiative and the Graphene Flagship, to have a new association, a new private association, to be set up in October, and to agree a memorandum of understanding with the Commission before the end of this year. We have received by member states a mandate for such a co-program partnership. The mandate has been given in the strategic plan. As you know, the strategic plan is the instrument governing the second half of Horizon Europe. This is quite clear, not an agenda just for 3 years. This should last until FP10, and a lot depends now that this partnership becomes a success. We are a bit, I must admit, at a critical juncture. I understood that also AMI is organizing a week in Cyprus, end of June, and I hope some of you can join this. There will be also other events to get new members to these partnerships. New members means industry. New members also means research and technology institutes and universities. That is a key plank. Our expectation is that the public contribution we intend to give will be matched by an equivalent contribution from the private side. This is in total 500 million euros, 250 from the public side, 250 from the private side. So that would actually send a clear signal. We have also invited member states to think larger. These are the important projects of common European interests. There exists a forum where member states are invited to consider ideas for an IPCI, and indeed discussions in this forum have already started. This is a member state-driven agenda. The European Innovation Council, they have invested in advanced materials in 2024 quite a lot, including nanomaterials, solar-to-X, quantum components. For you as a national contact point, however, there will be a new challenge coming up. The challenge will be, can we have a topic, a challenge, under the work program for 2025? And it is a work program run under Part 3. It is a work program run by the European Innovation Council and by the relevant program committee. That would mean we would have a challenge. We would transfer part of the budget. The other part would come from the EIC. Why is this of interest? Why is the future partnership on innovative materials enthusiastic about this idea? The idea is to formulate a challenge for SMEs under the acceleration program. And that would mean those SMEs who get an award, a grant awarded, would actually be able later on to liaise with companies sitting in the partnership we envisage. So you have an SME funded under the accelerated program who could actually be supported by this new materials ecosystem coming out of the partnership. We will be also working with the European funding instruments, the Innovation Fund, the STEP program, InvestEU. But I would like to flag mainly the point 6 and 8, where we are very much engaged and which are currently a big driving force to implement this advanced materials communication, which we have presented end of February. Before you can go to the next slide, please. Yes, we will work with public procurers. On public procurement, of course, these authorities are mainly looking at, tell me what you have on the shelf because I need to launch a contract tomorrow. So there we will embark more into the world of innovative public procurement, something which already and you may have heard about, is a report of Enrico Letta, who's speaking about the fifth freedom on research, is also mentioning. We will launch an advanced materials academy, and I'm very pleased to have Rodrigo Martins with us later on to showcase a bit the skills side. We have reserved 10 million euros, and we are working with the EIT to launch a call with the KICS and to have such an advanced materials academy, not economy, sorry, it's a spelling area, to be launched end of 2024. It will be a virtual economy, it will be a virtual academy. There's no need for a topic in 2025. The funding has already been foreseen under an amendment to the work program 2024. This amendment has been published on the 18th of April. We will launch studies to look more on the user side. How can we improve standards relevant for advanced materials? How can we analyze more the production use and the patent landscape on advanced materials? This work will start hopefully also in a few months with call for tenders. If I can go to the next slide. Governance action. There many people are getting interested, but okay. We would like to have a governance in place which should follow, monitor, but also decide on the various actions. It's particular the action 1 or the pillar 1 when it comes to common objectives and priorities. This governance should help us to get an overview on the needs and where to go on future needs. The Technology Council is likely to meet once a year. It should be high level. It should not be technical level. It should be high level. It is not an expert group where the Commission will ask for advice. It should be a coordination group with high-level representatives from the ministries, both research and industry. And we hope to have a call for expression of interest launched end of June, so that we have also research innovation stakeholders, top-class people from the industry and the RTO applying and becoming member of such a technology council. The first meeting of the Technology Council should take place in autumn. And as I said, a call for expression of interest will be launched. That brings me nearly to the end of my presentation. If we go, so I would like, first of all, to express my sincere thanks that you are following the session. You have here my email address and also the link to the advanced materials communication. We are starting a journey, and I suppose the other speakers will agree with me. It's a very ambitious journey, but on the other hand, it started with this materials manifesto signed by 7 people in February 2022. They put advanced materials at the forefront, and it was actually stakeholders calling for a change. And the advanced materials communication we put forward now is actually embedding this call for change in a new global context. And this has become a big driving force also at the high political level. We're getting now support by ministers. I hope this presentation gave you a first insight, sometimes maybe already detailed, but it's dense, on what we are planning to do. And for this, we will also need the national contact points, in particular when it comes to fleshing out how the work program for 2025 should be implemented, what guidance should be given to stakeholders. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to answer questions later on. Back to you, Marco.
Thank you. Thank you a lot, Jürgen. And yes, first of all, I hope that you can stay with us for waiting for the Rodrigo's speech, and after that, I will answer the question. So I thank you a lot. You was excellent in times and in communication. And from my side, I would say you're right. This is a really a challenging journey. It's not started today. It started already some years ago, but we are in a crucial moment for the journey. And what I want to stress is that most of you, like us, as a community member of the European material research innovation community, will be probably interested in some of the elements. Probably I am interested in the participation to the new partnership. That's fine. But what is relevant from the presentation of Jürgen is that the challenging, the ambition of the overall design behind the material activity is much broader than just the new partnerships. It's a very complex scenario. And as I repeat, that's right. It's a complex machine, but a complex machine needs also a lot of different opportunities to the community. So don't think that the new strategy of the European Commission is just the partnerships. It's much more than that. And it's up to us to become relevant participants, conscious participants of these games. Certainly, the future partnerships will be a good start, but it's not only the things, or let's say, the game to be played in the coming years. So, just to come back to the agenda, we are perfectly on time. I would like to know if Rodrigo is present for the presentation. Rodrigo, don't. Okay,
Yes.
and now I see you here, and I saw also your first slide, so it's fine. Rodrigo, please start with your presentation. After that, we come back to discuss together.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for just to introduce this topic. And I will start by saying that there are no party of science and technology without materials. That's what we heard. And indeed, we can say from what either Marco and Jürgen said is that we have to go from the ideas to the applications, and this means that we have to transform our mindset and try to see how really we can impact on the strategy, on our strategy of the future. And the Advanced Materials Academy aims to do so. And first of all, we need to fill the gap in the conventional education. And the strategy is not to repeat what the present system of education gives, but go through new concepts that comes from, we heard from the European Innovation Council and also from ERC Council, which are really breakthrough ideas that we need to converge for the challenges that we have for the future. And if you look for this, it means that we need to promote European networks in critical areas of the knowledge to sustain economic growth supported by knowledge and talents. Overall, what we need is to prepare for a new Europe that is able to adapt and to support what we are coming for the next steps. So we have to go in advance, not to make what we do, but what are the challenges in the future. So the need for advanced materials, as we said, and it was really said and critical and very well and strategical said by Jürgen, is we have to look for this emerging technology and what are the demands. We need to look for the multifunctionalities for materials, and this is a whole. So how we can design the new materials, how I can really promote this novel concepts as far as materials going on. And this goes from 1D to 2D. So in the past, the pilot was on the nanotechnologies, but today this is a tool, as AI is a tool to reach what we need for the proper education. And of course, it means that our great tool for our future to educate the new generations will be grounded by AI. And of course, we have to look how we can really make this happen and how we can communicate. And this is really a critical issue. It's not how we can manage the things, but how we can communicate and promote this type of challenges, and all the citizens can really look for it as a critical issue for our future. And of course, on these multifunctional materials, the idea is to really try to exploit the different functionalities that materials can go. This means that I can really go for something which is different from today's technologies. And this means we have to look, first of all, for eco-sustainable materials. This means green materials, the ones that should be absolutely aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, addressing global needs in everything that impacts on our strategy for the future. And of course, above all, also safe and simple materials. So we cannot just make science per se, but science for the people, science that will impact on the growth of our economy and also in our prosperity. And as it was said by Jürgen, the targets are related with energy, because this is our first target. No energy, no future for our prosperity. So, and how we can really make this happen in a reliable process, and also that in a sustainable process. And there are several green energy sources, but we have to look for the package, how this could be real integrated. And this is an example that I gave, which is fantastic. This is the solar refineries or green energy of our products. So the idea is how I can really implement the different technologies and try to make all sustainable and affordable, and also really integrated in our concept of our system. The other thing that is concerned is transport, how to support mobility by respecting our ecosystem. Then we have, of course, electronics. This is a complete something else that we have to look, and we suffer these years about the problems connected with the semiconductor technologies, and that's why the European launches the CHIPS Act. But on the CHIPS Act, we have to look is for the emerging process, emerging technologies that will impact and really put us on a safety position. What are the technologies that we need, and how this could be impact on our strategy of the future, and how educated we must have the people in these areas. Then, of course, we have the construction, which is sustainable smart houses of the future. This is an example. The sustainable smart house of the future is something like that I'm just giving you in this example here. And we have to look for in materials, what are the critical needs that we have, and this is what we really expected for the year 2030. This what I'm supplying here is figures and numbers about what are the courses that today's universities overall Europe gives as far as material science is concerned. You can see that we have 429 courses spread across around 300 universities in Europe. We have something like around between 40 and 45,000 undergraduate plus master courses, and we have something like 4,500 PhD students. But we need more, because for the challenges that we have, we need to educate them, not making science as usual, but science as we need, and with the prospect for our future. And when you go for ICTs, we said that today we have 64,000 current open vacancies for electronic engineers. This is connected with the CHIPS Act. About the employment database in EURES, we see that there are 320,000 jobs needed due to CHIPS Act. This is something else that really impacts, and this emerging technologies and education in this field is really something that must. And jobs needed in the energy sector are something around 1,361 positions. And they go mainly for, these are data that we took from the International Renewable Energy Agency. And this is a clear demand to upscaling and to skills people in this critical area. So there are needs on jobs, need on positions, and need on talents, not as making science as usual, but make science for something else. And this is something of the educational transformation that we need. So we go from the materials academy objectives that goes to see what are the challenges that you have today, what are the industry needs, and what are the entrepreneurial spirit that also we need to recreate it. So it's not just make science by science, but we also rely on the competencies of these people to generate the economy that we need for the future. So we need on this academy also to look for the entrepreneurial spirit that we have. So the academy vision, as you can see, goes from the institute and industry to develop high-performance sustainable technologies, address the skills gap in sectors like energy, electronics, and semiconductors, transportation, and construction, and to promote interdisciplinarity collaboration for materials problem solving. This is something that the academy should like to look, and not as a cluster of ideas, but to jump to something else that I used to say is like a metro station. So we have the stations, and you can change the ideas in each station. So indeed, we have to see how we can reconfirm and how we can really go from this twin digital and green transition to promote the quality of educated people that we need for really engage and to satisfy the needs that we have for the future, where materials will be the core of all our transformation. And if it is the core of our transformations, we must have people ready to make this type of transition. So we have to look further on the way how we can educate the people. And in this respect, of course, material science is at the forefront of the technological and societal advancements. It's strategic that we should have education in the forefront, because if we don't have these talents, if we don't have proper education, how we can go for a prosper industry, how we can go for the future changes that we need in our industry. And of course, it means a concerted effort, actions towards this sustainability and innovation that will shape the prosperity of our future. Saying so, I will say, as it was said by Sir Mark Wolpert, science isn't finished until it is communicated. Indeed, communicating science, communicating properly what are the goals and the strategies that we need for the future, you see the core should be have people proper educated, and materials as really the critical issue for our future must be there. And just to remind, and it was said by Marco Falsetti, I'm just recovering an image that we really created, is this materials common house. And today we are in this narrative. We need this common house that will bring us together. And from the materials, they will serve different areas, going from the electronics, aerospace, ICT, transportation, and constructions. We have this image a couple of years ago, but still we are recovering these key issues of our future and of our imagination. And just to conclude, saying, as Victor Hugo said, there is nothing like a dream to create the future. And this is what we are today. We are creating the future, and we are designing the future with our hands. And this is really something else that will impact in our future. And we have to go make a teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more. And this is how we need the confluence of the industry together with the academies and together with the RTOs to plan a better future and to imagine a better plan for our future, where materials is really the core, is really the strategic area that will serve all the other areas, and the critical 4 areas that is been elaborated by Jürgen, and which are really the forefront that we need to plan a better global issue, not just for Europe, but for everyone, where sustainability and climate changes will be absolutely served if we have the proper people with a mindset that will be changes, and where using this absolutely fantastic tool that we have today, which is AI. And with this, we are really just really scaling up this idea to have a better life and a better comfort for our European citizens. Thank you very much to hear me. So this is something that I could say about. Marco Falsetti, it's your time.
Yes, Rodrigo, thank you a lot. And thank you to show again the famous picture on the Material Common House when we were younger and we started to build this house. But you are right. In any case, also this time is a time that is following exactly the same idea, trying to create a common system where all the material community, and from scientists to technologists, could place a right place in this system. Okay, now I will ask again to come on the stage. Rodrigo is already in, also to Jürgen, and I will ask the colleagues to check what's going on Slido. Okay, there are several questions, and let's go through from the top. Okay, we are not a lot of vote, but we have several questions. So it's a mix of things. I'm looking together with you. So Jürgen.
Yeah, I will be very precise. Yeah, thank you, Marco. You can hear me? Yeah?
Sure.
Okay. I will be very straight and precise. The first question, which are the best channels for a stakeholder to follow and join the initiative? In my slideshow, you see at the end a link to our website, where we will also start indicating the follow-up actions. So start with our website. The second is we have the Advanced Materials Initiative. And maybe, Marco, maybe colleagues can send around their link as well, because this is a website where actually the partnership gets built. So these are the 2 concrete channels for a stakeholder to follow and join the initiative now. What are the next steps in the EU initiative on advanced materials? What can stakeholder expect in terms of policy developments? Okay, I hinted already at it, but let's be a bit more precise. The first indication will be that we would like to set up this co-program partnership. We hope to see a new association emerging in October. I mentioned to you an event organized by the Advanced Materials Initiative in Cyprus, a Materials Week. That's about the co-program partnership. The next big action will actually be what's going to happen on the work program, Horizon Europe 2025. We are already in deep discussions with member states, working on topics for the work program, which should start reflecting what you find in the advanced materials communication. This covers possible partnership topics. This covers the digital infrastructure. So the next concrete steps that hopefully end of June, I cannot commit today, we launch a call for expression of interest for high-level stakeholders, and this concerns those who actually want to apply for the Technology Council, which should meet for the first time in autumn. So these are answers to the question raised, very, very precise. It's all ongoing currently. How can a research organization join the co-program partnership, and what does it entail in terms of investments? I think that is a decision to be taken by the Advanced Materials Initiative. And I asked Marco and the other organizers maybe to send the link, because these people are currently building up a community, and they are the best place to give an information what are the plans for setting up a new association in October. It will be a new kid on the block, and it will be open for a research organization. They're thinking about a fee structure and a governance structure, and they're moving ahead in this regard. Next question, will the plan affect also Pillar 1? Oh, that's a good one. This is the European Research Council. I think it will. We have not foreseen a specific action as regards the European Research Council, because they are very much in favor of a total bottom-up approach. But I'm sure that when it comes to the next steps, that we will also start discussing further with part 1. And it's a bit also up to researchers to push for this new logic on advanced materials in Pillar 1. Now, this is not ruled out. We are working very closely with DG GROW. So you can consider us like twins. We focus on research innovation. DG GROW is much more working on these issues like IPCI, doing studies on the patent landscape. So it's a very valid question, because we expect the research ministries and the industry ministries as well to work together on the member state level. So we are working closely with them. DG GROW is also planning an enhanced dialogue with industry. So these are big industrial players. They have the next meeting with these industrial players on the 6th of June, and we will also be there. In short, very close cooperation with DG GROW. This is not a separate agenda. What are the next steps regarding materials comments? Tough questions. Which instrument are you taking into account for digital infrastructures? The next steps is to explain the concept and where we want to go, and to focus on the needs. Because many people think, first of all, which instrument is available, how can I find what? But we need, first of all, to discuss the what are the needs in this regard. And then you think about the how and the instrument, whether it's an ERIC, an EDIC, whether it's a co-funded action under the Work Program 2025. There we are already in deep discussions with member states, who see already that we are really challenging them. But the challenge is not only coming from the Commission. We are in a global competition. Just compare what US universities do on the design of advanced materials and digitization. Look at what Japan is doing with their Japanese universities. They're moving fast on this agenda. So this will be, first of all, a discussion also with the member states, but it will also be a discussion very much with the industry. Then I see the next question for skills and STEM education. I'm happy to hand it over this to Rodrigo.
Well, I think so, because otherwise Rodrigo will never.
Okay, no.
Let's start to mix up a little the questions. Yes, Rodrigo, there was a question. I don't see any more the
first question I think that I would
yes, please.
Is about the Common House. I think the idea of Common House was brought together because when you look for the materials, you can exploit the same material for the different type of applications. And this means that this is the type of multifunctionalities that you can see. And the idea of the Common House was to bring together all the common actors, as Jürgen said, and make them an effort. And at that time, it was Alliance for Materials that was the umbrella for all this type of ideas and concepts. And I believe today we are in the same. When Jürgen is launching these ideas of making this type of networkings and the partnerships and above all, I believe that we have to starting by ideas, and in the ideas means that starting by thinking how we can promote this type of networking. And the easiest way to promote this networking is to mix the common interests coming from the academy with the common interests or needs that industry needs. So the academy should serve at the end the interests or the ambitions of the industry. That's where we have to bring on this common house concept. And then you have to look for this the initiatives on the advanced materials and the job creations, as it was said. In fact, the driving forces is the CHIPS Act, because today's the interface to communicate is electronics, and it was really noticed by the European Commission that we have a gap of more than 300,000 people. That's why, and this comes from something, a big mistake that we committed 25 years ago. It was to outsourcing or delocalize all the semiconductor industry towards Asia. In this respect means that the things start happening in Asia, and we lost this type of impact in Europe. Why? Because science and technology, proper educated people are made where things happen, and things where happen not in Europe but outside Europe. Today, we really see that we have a lack of people able to design properly or to produce everything on the what we call the nanotechnologies, the nanoelectronic side. When you go for 2D or below 2 nanometer scale materials, and this means we have to recover this, and this is why we need to reinvent it again in Europe. This is why we need very fast to have people educated for this lack, because if you want to make the foundries back to Europe, means to must have training people. That's why we have this huge number, and this huge number of training people is a must. And this is something you have on the recovery plans, either at European level or at a national level. This is something that impacts, and we need really to bring together just to avoid any duplications in Europe. But these challenges open the door for something else, is for what is going on the emerging technologies, and what is going on as far as the new aspects on the new materials, how I can go. And this means that this is a niche, and by sure we will need a very large number of prepared people in the area of material science and materials technology. As I said, there are no party of science and technology without them. So we really expected that these figures will be follow very close the figures and the numbers that the European Commission has available for the CHIPS Act. And in fact, we need the semiconductors is a material, but we need to look for different materials. And this means that we need not only to look for silicon per se, but looking for alternatives for silicon, as Jürgen said. And this means that we need to have these people ready and prepared to solve these problems. And indeed, when we go for ideas, we need really to go, and we have the pandemic times gave us ideas how science impacts on the life of the people with the vaccines. The vaccines came from two advanced grants given by ERC. So it was an idea that became true and impacts on the life of the people. This is how science is very important, how educated people is very important for our future. And indeed, it means that in the future, we need to have some type of observatory, as it was said and this is aligned with this idea of common house, to look what are the strategy that we need to, we should not follow what the Japanese or the Americans are doing. We must be on the forefront and exploit our imagination, as Hugo told us, and to go further and to prospect further. And this is why we need talents. We need really to have all this value chain going from ideas to the application. So to not only what the industry needs today, but what are the industry of the future that we are looking for promoting in the future. This is something very, very, very important. And of course, we need to serve Europe. And a great lesson that I think that we learned is that things happen where the things are happening today. And it means that delocalization is not a good word for the future and the prospects of Europe. That's why we need them here. That's why we need to have really people formed. And this means that we have to networking. The academy we don't want to substitute what the university is doing, but we need to exploit the best that is being doing overall Europe. And this means that we need networking. Networking, in my opinion, and teamwork is what we stand up for the future.
Okay, Rodrigo, thanks a lot, but you have mixed up a lot of questions. I would like to come back with one question to you in particular, but there is some question for Jürgen. In particular, Jürgen, there is this question about the Observatory on Advanced Material that is mentioned officially in the communication. So can you just give it just your short reply to what will be the scope and purpose of the Observatory on Advanced Materials?
Yeah, maybe the term observatory is not the right one, but we need to have an idea also about the available advanced materials and what is actually happening on the demand side amongst industries. We do not have this knowledge. Huh? I often get asked by member states, you're investing a lot in advanced materials. You have invested 1.5 billion euros on advanced materials research under Horizon 2020. What are today the advanced materials? Who's using them? What are the needs? And to be honest, we don't know. Yeah. And that's not good. So this action, we will have a study who will look actually on the available advanced materials and what are the needs. This is not research, this is industry research. This is the industry planning, and to get an idea. We hope to launch such a study in autumn.
That's clear. Thanks. And there is another question, not about the GGRO NTD, because you already answered this question before. But if you want to say something more, I would like to ask you to, in particular to the second one, is there an ambition to incentivize the use of previously funded IOTB that you already mentioned during your presentation?
Yeah, two remarks in this regard. The Open Innovation Testbeds for Advanced Materials have been funded by Horizon 2020 and then the work program for 2021-2022 under Horizon Europe. It looks that they're becoming a success model. And I'm a bit selfish now. They're becoming a success model because they take up the challenge to be financed on their own, which is not easy. But in a world of emerging technologies, I would like to be in a position also to set up new open innovation test beds and fund them, and not only continue funding those which exist, because if I continue funding those which exist, I cannot launch new ones. It's as simple as that. The open innovation test beds, that's my second point, will belong to a new agenda called technology infrastructures. We all know the research infrastructures. Technology infrastructures should really serve SMEs, innovative SMEs, to get advice whether their technologies are fit for purpose. This will be a large-scale agenda under FP10. We expect also a policy follow-up in the first half of 2025. So the open innovation testbeds are a pilot actually for these projects called technology infrastructures. What will be the exact landing zone for technology infrastructures under FP10, I cannot tell you. But clearly, apart from the actions we have announced in the communication, there will be a follow-up under FP10, and advanced materials should find their place under this new agenda called technology infrastructures.
Thanks. Quite clear. In the meantime, just to jump from the two and not to give just one on the stage, Rodrigo, I don't see now on this picture, but there was another question that probably I would like to address to you concern interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary is a fundamental in modern science and technology development. How to improve interdisciplinary culture as at academic level, probably.
Yeah, that's what I thought about this metro station concept. Is you should look for the bottle half full, not half empty. Which means that if you want to progress, and materials is a critical issue, you need really to try to exploit for the best application this type of material. Then it means that you have to converge different areas of knowledge. You have to look for the physics aspect, the chemistry, because how I can process, I can manufacture this material, how I can synthesize this material using less energy, how I can exploit towards an application, towards a material. So this is the electronics field, for instance. And then, of course, you have the construction. This is a civil engineering, how I can make smart materials and I can exploit it, turning it lighter and better for a different field. So we need really the world of materials is really multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity. And this means that the same material could be exploited for different ways. I just give you an example. For instance, zinc oxide is a brick material, typically in the past used for bricks, for constructions, nothing for electronics. And we saw that when you go for a nanoscale, we can use it as an outstanding material that is able to go beyond silicon. This is an application where the same material can be used in a different type of application, depends how we can look at, and of course, this means something else. So this is really the same material for different fields, and even, of course, you can use it, and it was not emphasized here, for health. We have a lot of applications for skin application and so on, but it's out of this. And what is the core point is that the same material can be exploited for different type of applications. So we have materials for energy, materials for electronics, and the core is the same. But how I can exploit it and I can synthesize is absolutely critical for the application that we are looking for. And this is something that cannot be done for a single cluster. That's why I say that teamwork is necessary, and we look for a full open envelope, not closed envelope.
Okay, thank you. Just to go fast, Jürgen, a couple of very simple questions. I would like to have two questions that I can mix in one. One is concerning, is the new partnerships concentrated just on the 4 sectors during Horizon Europe? And on the same level, there is another question: what new sector may be added to those for mentioned in the pillar 1, energy, mobility, construction, electronics? So what's going on? Just the 4 area sector, or even more in the future?
Thank you for the question, Marco. Excellent question. We had a lot of discussion also inside the Commission before this communication was launched. And this is actually reflect for those who are the readers of the communication, section 1, because advanced materials do not only matter in the 4 areas I mentioned, they are relevant for agriculture, they're relevant for textiles, they're relevant for health. And if you look into health, they're relevant for the pharmaceuticals, they're relevant for the medical devices, they're relevant for tissue generation and biomedical science. Therefore, we would like to pay a bit attention that we need to find a starting point, because to find common priorities and objectives, you need to start somewhere. And we should not overwhelm ourselves in 2024 and going beyond the 4 areas I was mentioning. We would like to start with these 4 areas: construction, electronics, mobility, and energy. And for the partnership, if they want to go wider, that's fine for us. And then we have to come back, and this will be also the driving forces for the work program 2025, that we start somewhere. But the partnership should not be limited only to these 4 areas. It can be wider, but we need to work a bit in sequence. And Marco, you said at the beginning, the whole strategy is not only about the partnership, it's broader, and we have to have a manageable agenda. So we start with these 4 areas I mentioned, others will come hopefully in 2025.
Yeah, that's clear. Thanks a lot. I have a couple of questions that I would like to address to Jürgen because they are quite relevant according to my feelings. But before to move to the last question to Jürgen, Rodrigo, is there any comment from your long experience? In particular, do you believe this is, let's say, a particular crucial and positive way for material as it was not in the past, or at least not easily to find in the past? What can be really different today in this strong action at the political level, at commission level, that centralize the role of material? What is your feeling in a very 30 seconds?
I have to say that we are not trying to cross roads or try to, but today's the program brings together all the existing synergy, and the scenario is completely different from what it was 15 years ago. We have been starting, and I have to say that I'm very proud that we launched the pilots for new ideas and new perspectives for the future. And today, with the manifesto and the program that is being designed by Jürgen, I believe this is the way. It's not just looking at material as an enabler, but something else, as an activator, as an accelerator of the transformation. This is what we need, is how we can design the new materials, how we can go further on the technology, how we can really go for outstanding position in Europe. And with all the respect, the future is challenging, and the challenges are on the new emerging ideas, the new emerging concepts, and this comes from the talents. That's why academy is critical on this issue. How we can really, it's just not to make science by science or to try to exploit ideas, but try to turn them in add value for Europeans. And this is what we are doing with the academies. But the academy needs to serve something else. And to serve something else is the program. This program is really, by the first time, in my opinion, I mean, there for more, as you, for more than 20 years, but really the program now brings together what are the essential focus and tendencies for our future. Not look per se, but look for an envelope. And this envelope is what Jürgen said, and I'm really, if it follows all the concepts that Jürgen said, we are in a win-win position. That's what we need. Bring prosperity, comfort, and welfare to the people, and have a critical position globally on science and the technology for the prosperity of Europe. That's it, I believe.
Thanks a lot, Rodrigo. But before to close, few questions that at least are quite relevant. Jürgen, there are a couple of questions. I would mix up the two questions, but I'm going to read. The first one is, the overall picture is really complex. How and who should govern the system? And the second question, same meaning, is how does the plan ensure a coordinated approach across different sector industry? And what role will the Technology Council play in this coordination? So what will be the governance of this complex machine? The last question for you.
Yeah, thank you. Very good question, Marco. I will try to be as clear as possible. The Advanced Materials Communication foresees, I call it a bit, two revolutions. The first one is that the mixture between bottom-up and top-down is changing. This means in future, I would like to have a clear idea where are the needs for advanced materials. And then the researchers will tell us this is something for composite materials, for nanotechnologies, for graphene, and they can come in, but they get a purpose, what is needed. And this is really something fundamentally different. For this, we need member states and also top-class people say, well, the needs for today, can we also look at the needs for tomorrow? But that we really give a vision where are materials needed. Is it energy conversion? Is it energy storage? What is it exactly? That's the first revolution. And for this, the Technology Council will play a big role. It will be a key player. The second big revolution is Commission supported by the partnership and the member states, because we would like to work together not only under the European work programs, but we would like to encourage member states also to coordinate. I quote one member state without going into detail. And this was a sincere and honest answer, and not a bureaucratic answer. The answer we are getting, we would like to do this, we would like to coordinate also what you are doing at national level. And the person, in all honesty, told me, I can tell you what is in my program for which I'm in charge, but I cannot not tell you what is happening in the other programs in my member states. Answer by the Commission, that's the point we want to make. And this will require a coordination effort also in the ministries. Because if we do not do this inside the European Union, China, US, Japan will do it.
Okay.
They will know. So we need to have also this cultural revolution at national level to think more about their needs. And again, this is not legislation. We start with 4 areas. Health will come later on. But we need to have, first of all, this revolution also in the mindset of the ministries. Do you at national level have actually a clear idea which advanced materials you need for your economy? And we're getting there. So these are the key players. The European partnership is not forgotten. They are, for me, the pace setters in all this. We give them the priorities, but they are the pace setter. They should tell us you're not ambitious enough. That's the plan. I hope this sheds some light on this. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Jürgen. And so I want to thank you again. I thank you, Jürgen Tiedel and Rodrigo Martins, but just my last words will be to thank you, the NCP for Industry team that organize all these, not only these events, but many other events as part of a path toward a target that is really complex and needs to be explained. It needs to be shown, needs to be supported in the narrative to the public. And when I say public, it's the NCP system, and that means also, and on top of that, our stakeholder. So thanks to you, and thanks you to all the participants that were with us for these couple of hours. And just one point, this is not the end of the history. As Jürgen said, it's the beginning of a journey, and please be ready to be actors and part of this journey. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Rodrigo. Thanks to all. And happy to meet again to update more in more concrete terms what will happen in the coming months. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.